Nicky of Manic Street Preachers has a solo album out. It is called Intimism, and we are delighted that he joins us this morning. Morning, Nick.
Morning, both.
You all right?
Yes.
Good. You're an early riser. You sound bright and breezy.
I am indeed, shuffling around, exiled in the annex. You know.
Exiled in the annex. It's a good Manics title.
Probably had it, yeah, we've used it.
How did you enjoy Glastonbury?
It was all right. It was too hot for me. I don't expose myself in the sun that often. I really don't. But I actually got a suntan and ruined my perfect lovely look.
Perfect alabaster, mysterious.
And obviously, I wasn't even on the footage. I don't know what I'd done to the cameraman, but he seemed to.
I noticed that.
I noticed that too.
I noticed that. Yeah.
I don't know. It was a bit odd that you were there, but it was a bit odd. Anyway, but it sounded fantastic.
I have made a lot of enemies in my life.
It sounded fantastic. Anyway, it sounded absolutely fantastic.
It was great. It was great to be there. Fourth decade of doing Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Inauspicious start and a few ups and downs in between. But it was
indeed.
It was nice to be at.
So your sixth time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, yes, indeed.
So tell us about this solo album then. I mean, was this something you wanted to do for a while, or was it something you were doing on the side while the Manic and downtime? How did it come about?
It has had a very long gestation. 12 years, I think the oldest track is.
Is it? Wow.
And we've been really busy. You forget how busy you are in the Manics, really, because we're always doing something. But
yeah.
I've had a real rush the last 5 years, and James kept nagging me, telling me to put it out all the time. So I said, only if you play guitar solos on a couple of them, and I can pretend that it's me. No, but it just felt a nice time, kind of downtime with the Manics. We're not putting anything out. And just to do something slightly off-kilter.
Which is unusual for you, because unlike a lot of bands of your status, who take 5 years off, the Manics never do they,
No, we haven't. We've always been inspired by the Fall in that respect, that you just keep powering on, and we're kind of halfway through our 15th studio album, I think. 15th, yes.
And were these songs, Nick, are these songs that sometimes start out thinking you're not sure if it's solo or the Manics, or are you specifically writing with your own record in mind? I
think it's more kind of avoiding the stuff that needs to go into a Manics record. Is very much the inspirations. There's a lot of C86 melodies in there. It's quite an innocent record. There's some free jazz in there, which doesn't really fit in on and Everything Must Go. But it's a nice release for me. I have no pretensions of grandeur about it. That's why I'm just putting it on Bandcamp. And it's just a nice distraction, and it's always good to keep your hand in. I got so many lyrics on the go all the time that they need an outlet. Otherwise, we'd just be doing an album every 3 months.
Yeah. In case people think you're joking when you said there's free jazz on there absolutely is, which I played on the Freak Zone a couple of weeks back. Yeah,
you did indeed. What a moment.
So reflecting your love of, which I must confess I didn't absolutely know about, your love for the Mahavishnu Orchestra and Electric Miles Davis. Yeah,
it's a real phase. Obviously, Sean was always a jazzer because of his trumpeter, and he was always playing Charlie Parker, early Doors.
Yeah.
And him and James were really into that. But just when jazz goes rock, I guess.
Yeah.
I just find it gets really interesting, really stroppy, and really self-indulgent, which is much like myself.
It's called Intimism. So is that we've just been talking about that sort of that school of painting? Is that something you particularly love?
Yeah, and just the idea of the mundane being turned into something kind of holy and extraordinary, because, I do specialise in the interior life, shall we say. I spend a lot of my time indoors, and, it's just, it does nothing, we chase, I think, we chase the kind of the hyper extraordinary in our lives, when a lot of it, the most mundane things are the most special things. So that's what I was trying to reflect on the album.
Be regular and ordinary in your life, like a bourgeois, that you may be violent and original in your work. Do you remember that?
If we used Nick Darcy for a mug.
You did.
Well, we better hear something from this record then. Do you want to tell us something quickly about the Ballad of Baby Blue in about 15 seconds?
It is from my time in Swansea University. Pete Ham from Badfinger. I think his brother had a guitar shop, John Ham, and I used to walk past the shop gazing at the Rickenbacker every day. And the song's just inspired by Badfinger, really, musically and lyrically.
Great, lovely. Ballad of Baby Blue. So, our first Last Everything guest this morning is Nicky, who has a new solo album out called Intimism. And Robin Birmingham, Nick, says, I absolutely loved that song you just played, which was Ballad of Baby Blue from Intimism. He says, is there going to be a physical release at all of the album?
I don't think so, really.
No.
But it's just a lot of effort. But I know I sound a bit lazy and blasé about this, and I feel, obviously I've got a bit of a backstop with the Manics, but I just can't get it together to do all the other stuff. Yeah. It's such an effort. We signed 13,500 products when we released Ultra Vivid Lament. Really? I'm still scarred by it.
You signed 13,500?
Yes.
Hey, can you do each other's signatures?
No.
Do you know that great thing that the Beatles could do each other's? So I knew someone who went to get George Harrison to sign their copy of Revolver, and George said, do you want all of them? Because they all could do each other's because they were doing so many, Anyway, not that I'm suggesting you do that. So we'll come back and talk about Intimism a bit later on.
Also, you've been our artist in residence, so we should thank you for that.
Yes.
Has that been fun?
It was great. I mean, we just ran wild though. After we'd done about 3 lists, and 4 lists didn't even get used.
Wow.
A blue playlist, and it was real nice to delve into because sometimes your brain just stops working so well, you forget about all the brilliant music out there. So it was brilliant, really enjoyable.
Let's delve into it now because earlier on we were talking about the love of Uriah Heep on the Black Sea coast, and so we sort of will go back into your first love, which was a kind of. You were kind of a heavy rocker, were you, really, in your first incarnation?
Oh, yeah, I was definitely a metalhead. It was very tribal up the valleys at that point. There was a lot of mods and a lot of metalheads, and I was definitely Whitesnake, Rush, Black Sabbath, all that kind of stuff. Rainbow, Deep Purple.
Now, is this...
Axe Attack, the greatest compilation ever made. Axe Attack,
Axe Attack, right.
So tell us about this track you've picked, your first, Neon Nights, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, it was Martin Luther Records, a great little independent shop in Blackwood. I still have one of the carrier bags to this day because it's such a special place. And obviously Sabbath slightly scared me a bit. Aussie Sabbath was slightly disconcerting, for a young lad. But a very underrated phase when Ronnie James Dio joined, and Neon Nights was the first sort of powerhouse track they released, and it just drives and drives and drives. And I've still got it. I've still got the 7-inch now.
Great. It's From Heaven and Hell came out in 1980.
Let's have a listen to a bit of it. Tremendous. Neon Nights, Black Sabbath from Heaven and Hell.
Not to be confused with Neon Lights by Kraftwerk.
No, you wouldn't make that mistake, would you?
Have you seen Nicky, that they're going to do a Black Sabbath ballet, I think?
Yeah.
With Carlos Acosta.
Birmingham Royal Ballet.
Yeah, so we hope to get Tony Iommi, who's a top fellow. We hope to get him on the show.
We should say, as well as Intimism, which is Intimism available for download from Bandcamp? No. Nick?
Monday, if I can manage to get it all working.
This sounds like a kind of one-man operation, this record.
It really is. I am overreaching slightly, but I'm just about managing WAVs and FACD files, and I've come into the digital age.
But you've deliberately done it this way, though, haven't you? I mean, because you could have given it on to someone else and put it out on a label, but you've decided to do it all yourself for any particular reason, just... It's
just a commitment. I think I'm just used to overcommitting to Manic stuff where you've literally got to throw everything at it.
Yeah.
And with this, I just wanted to feel a bit more like the records when me and James were busking Cardiff and going to Spillers and buy something on Creation or wherever, the Hoodoo Gurus. And it's just like something magically you discover rather than sort of forcing it into people's faces a bit, I guess.
I mean, it's interesting contrast in a way, because you said you've still got the carrier bag from the first record shop you went to. So you obviously have a love or a need, in some senses, of the tangible artefact and object, and yet this record you've decided to do exactly the opposite.
I know, I do feel a bit bad about it, and because I am a completely sort of tactile person. Everything in my life is physical, and
you can always change your mind somewhere. You can change your mind later on, can't you?
Yeah.
Well, I did have an email yesterday from the Japanese Sony version in Japan who really want to put it out, so maybe I'll go down that route, because they usually do everything for you. They're so good.
Great.
What about this most recent enthusiasm of yours, Miley Cyrus?
It's just a song that came out of the blue, really. I think it reminded me of when I was young, when a genuine pop song just really blows you away. That you don't have to like the artist, even though I do like Miley. But it's just a record that you can't deny its power. You know, it really reminds me of the Cardigans as well. It's got a real loveful kind of bass line to it, and bits of Laura Branigan and Pat Benatar. Yeah. It's like a really familiar song. You think, you can spot loads of things in it, but it sort of turns into something new.
Well, a little bit that. It comes from an album which sounds like Nicky Wire's worst nightmare, Endless Summer Vacation. You'd never go out. You'd have to stay in all the time. But,
that's very true. Yeah.
Let's have a listen to...
curtains drawn.
Let's have a quick listen to Flowers.
I can buy myself flowers.
Recent enthusiasm of Nicky Wire, Miley Cyrus and Flowers. We should say that as well as Intimism being available for download on Monday. I didn't realise that last night BBC4 repeated that brilliant gig you did at Blackwood Miners Institute, apparently.
Yes, it did.
So you can watch that. Yeah, that was a great night.
Are you in that one as the cameraman?
Do you know I am? I've got a lovely fake fur coat from Karen Milan on there. I love that coat so much. Love it.
Have you got a big wardrobe at home? Have you got a big walk-in wardrobe with all the stage outfits?
Yeah, my wife's an ex-librarian, so about 3 summers ago, we literally went through all my sort of clothes and vax packed them, and sealed them for prosperity that may never come, but they're all sort of... They're all sealed and sort of...
Oh, I think there needs to be an exhibition.
There's a V&A exhibition down the line there somewhere, isn't there?
Definitely. One each of James and Sean's shirts and 50 of your outfits.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the original spray-painted shirts me and Richie did.
People would love to see that.
Yeah, they'd love to see that. So that I definitely will be catching up that. What a great night that was at Blackwood Miners Institute. That's on BBC4. You can watch it on the iPlayer. Artist in Residence... for the last fortnight, all the episodes are streamable at BBC Signs, as is the other stage performance that the Manics did just recently. But Nick's solo album Intimism is out on Monday. Now, can I just say, you went out in the summer with Suede in America. Was that fun?
Oh, yeah, it was brilliant. It was... obviously, it's hard to get to America these days, and to go there and was like 3,000 people in LA and 2,500 in Toronto, and they are such... I don't think they've ever been better live, and what a lovely bunch of chaps.
Indeed.
I said summer, it wasn't summer, was it? It was before Christmas, wasn't it? Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
And you're going out to Japan with them later in the year?
We are indeed, we're doing Taiwan, Singapore, and 2 in Tokyo as well, which is going to be great. So, I'm trying to sort you a trip.
Okay, well, we'll dance on stage if that helps.
Oh well. Anyway, we'll more of that in due course, Nick. I'll talk to you about. What was the other thing I was going to say? I don't think I was going to say anything else except Intimism's out on Monday, and it's fantastic.
Okay,
it genuinely is a brilliant record. Now, McCarthy. I know of your love of McCarthy. One of my favourite cover versions of yours is We Are All Bourgeois Now.
Yeah.
And McCarthy, an A&R man's dream. Jangly guitar linked to hardline Marxist politics.
It was such a... I always go back to McCarthy. One, you don't hear him on the radio much, which I feel is bad. Yeah. And 2... they're like a root. They're like a tablet in my life that I go back to, and just to give me a clip round the ear, as my dad would say, to remind me, that certain things are, you don't forget everything you are or what you were, and they just always give me a nudge. I Am a Wallet's one of my favourite albums of all time, and to mix that Marxism with those beautiful jangly guitars.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do.
It's not an easy thing to do. No, not at all.
The song that you've chosen is one that you have covered, isn't it?
It is, yeah, Red Sleeping Beauty. We've done 3, I think, over the years, or maybe 4.
Wow.
And Red Sleeping Beauty is I just remember hearing it coming out of the blue, It's just quite a strange song. It's a bit got that sort of Joy Division atmosphere kind of drums. Yes. And just kind of off-kilter Johnny Marr guitars, and it felt like it was made for me. When you hear a record when you're young that you think, that's my band.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like.
Great. Lovely to talk to you, Nick. Intimism is brilliant, and it's downloadable from Mancamp on Monday. See you later in the year, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. Pleasure, boys. Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Nick. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.